Live from Radio City. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you, Jennifer?
I am good. It's been raining here, so I love rain. So even though
Oh,
it's kind of gloomy outside, I am happy.
rain. I'm with you. Like rainy season, this fall season is the
It's my favorite.
ultimate. Like
Oh
I
yes,
I love me some rainy, dark weather.
yes.
My favorite is. All right, so we got look who we got already. We got Felipe.
Oh, early. Whoop,
Yeah, we
whoop.
got him coming in. Good morning, folks. We got Mr. Pete. What's going on? Oh, I'm gonna have Pete. Pete's gonna be on the OG spotlight this Friday.
Nice,
Yes,
nice,
yes.
awesome.
Did
That'll
you
be
get to
fun.
see the last one with my
I
friend
did.
Stephanie?
Oh, she killed it. I mean, like
Man, she's
she carried that whole show.
yeah,
You
she
were just
did.
there.
Yes. I got her bragging, and she's doing some amazing things out there.
Yep.
We got Miss Maya Little. What's
Good
going
morning,
on, Maya?
Maya.
Got to meet her in person in New Orleans. And oh, look. We got Abigail.
Oh,
Abigail joined us yesterday at the after
yesterday
part.
too.
Sorry,
Yeah.
on the pop
They
up.
both, I think Maya and
Uh,
Abigail.
oh man, look at that. We got people
Whoop,
coming in. We
whoop.
got Mr. Justin coming in from Charlotte, newly
Good morning.
married. Justin, congratulate. You know what? Everybody,
Congratulations.
we got to give Justin congratulations. He just got married. Um, awesome dude. Who else we got? We got Mr. George Hunt saying good morning.
Good. You got to see him at the book signing in person.
Yes. Like, what'd you think about the book signing, Jen?
It was like I couldn't even have prepared myself for it. And even when it happened, I'm like, is this like I was more surreal, I think, than anything.
Yeah, it was I was it was almost like the live streams for me in that there was a lot of people there. There was a lot of networking, socializing, fun going on. And we're just signing
Signing
damn here. Like,
books.
damn it, missing all the fun. It was beautiful though. It was a beautiful experience. So thank you all that came out to the book signing and made that like extra special. We got to do more. Like
Yes.
that's all there is to it. Mr. Thomas LeMay says roll call from North Carolina. Mr. Terry Proffer coming up from Yo Way, that down Dallas way.
Absolutely.
And then Felipe coming in from sunny Cali. And he wants to talk about the topic. So what's the topic today, Jen?
Today is performance reviews, which is like everybody right now is in the middle of that, either doing them, getting ready for them, preparing for them. So it's going to be a juicy topic today.
Oh yeah. And I think it's fair for all the folks out there in the Omniverse. Like we're gonna discuss like tips and tricks, but also a little bit of complaining, right? Because performance reviews are kind of a funky thing and almost set up an opportunity for people to never give any feedback or any performance reviews except for that one time a year, which Adam recommends that you only do it once a year. There's Adam saying, good morning, fam, from the baseball park. He's out there supporting his boys. No, Adam's not a proponent of one piece of feedback a year. The idea is like building a relationship. I really do believe these performance reviews become more awesome when we're invested in establishing relationships with our team. But we'll jump into that. I'm interested to see where the tribe takes us on this conversation. Bruce says, how was Nolan's? I said, well, first, Bruce, I don't know if you noticed, but I got me a tattoo here. No, actually, Jeremy Atkinson hooked us up with these NOLA lean shirts for the COP, and he had sent out a request for people that got a shirt to like post a picture of them wearing the shirt. And I said, well, you know what? I'm just going to wear the damn shirt for the whole live stream. So this one's for you, Jeremy Atkinson. But Bruce, it was awesome. We had a lot of connections. Jennifer, the famous lady, killed it on her presentation. She was in the top 5 presentations of the whole conference. I'm not sure if she like threatened people to get that top 5.
I didn't.
It was top 5. It was amazing. A lot of connections. Got to meet a lot of people in person and hang out. And beautiful thing. I got to hang out with my clients. They sent 10 people from their business to the event. and they got a lot of takeaways and a lot of energy like going forward. And I got to hang out with Miss Rachel Boyd, who, man, she dropped some gold on me, like talking about some Rachel time, that me time, and a little cheat code she learned that's helping her do it more. And maybe she'll share that with us in the comments at some point today.
Maybe we can talk about some building that relationship part and how important that is with the people that you lead and the people that you work with too.
Oh, we got Mr. Buddy saying good morning. Aisha. Good morning, Aisha. Woo-hoo. Oh, look, Thomas says he thinks he ate his weight in gumbo. Put that on the cracks, dude. Over in New Orleans. Man, that food was like dangerous. I ate a bunch. We had dinner with the Refine My Sight team. Kirby and I did. Kirby says good morning. That was awesome. That was like super fancy food. And Maria Martin says, good morning. Good morning, girlfriend. How you doing? And no, Bruce, the fishnet did not make an appearance. I was totally unprepared, but I'm working on it. It is Halloween, so you never know what I might do after the half hour here. And then James Hannigan got to hang out with James.
Yes, we did.
James, I love your energy, and this year I've sensed or felt a calmer, more peaceful energy about you, my man. And to me, I think that's really, really important. So whatever you're doing out there, keep doing it, man. I see your posts out there on LinkedIn on your facilitation and stuff, and I'm interpreting that as you experiencing some kind of regular joy. And so keep doing that. That's what we need to do. So y'all, please, if you're new, if you're a first timer, and what I mean by that, like if you've never jumped in the chat, because you probably watched us a couple times, drop a blue heart in the chat so that we know that you're there. Folks out there in YouTube land and Facebook land, also drop your comments. We'd like to connect with y'all. And also heads up, the after party is going to be on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn has a new like audio feature that's similar to Clubhouse. And so we're going to be testing it out. It might be a little clunky to start because I've never done it. But it's an easy transition. If y'all got some more time to hang out and just listen and hear other people's voices and perspectives, jump on in. I'll be putting that link in the chat here in a few. So let us know where you're calling in from and bring your comments, because I don't know anybody that doesn't feel some kind of way about performance reviews. Jen, where are you on the subject?
Well, I know you and I talk a lot about a lot of things on this platform. And I think a lot of that comes back to things that we're passionate about, things that are important to us, the people part of our jobs. And then it kind of fed into when we started talking about performance reviews in the after party and some of those conversations. It's like, how much of that is included in those reviews when we look at tools and processes and here's the expectations and here's your role. And when we're kind of getting assessed on those, or we're talking about them, how much do our passions and the things that are important to us and the quiet time and the, taking some time to rest, how many times do those things come up in our conversations?
Yeah. I mean, as you were talking, what I'm thinking is the number of times I got caught off guard and wasn't prepared to list all the things like my accomplishments and contributions that I had all year. And it ain't like I didn't show up and do nothing and ride the clock. Like I did a lot, but in the moment, I was always ill-equipped to answer that question. So how do you keep track of that so that you're prepared to answer that question, Jennifer?
Well, at first I was like you. I was just like, I'll just remember it, because you sit there and you're like, I'll just recap it, and I got a lot going on, and so it's easy for me to sometimes forget things, which is not a big deal because I don't want the light all shining on me. But when I have to sit down in front of somebody and have the conversation on, here's the things that are important to me, here's the things that I feel like I've gotten accomplished, here's some things that I haven't, I've got to capture those. I've got to write them down. And I can't just sit down once a year or twice a year, the week before I'm supposed to sit down with the person that leads me and talk through them. I've got to capture them. I've got to write them down. And for me, social media is a great way to capture things because I can go back and I can capture things that I've done and I've shared. So I'm able to pull those in and actually have visuals and, it's a lot easier to talk to visuals. I don't know if you know that or not, but it's a lot easier when you have visuals to kind of reflect. And then for me, for the big one for me, for what I lead inside my company is a lot of the analytics and the metrics that people get caught up in sometimes because it's like, well, what's the ROI and what's the KPI? But for me, visualizing a lot of those and being able to pull those in and showing progress over time, like those are things I've been focused on, but I have to be intentional about how I'm capturing them and how I'm documenting them.
Okay, so all I took from that was intentional.
Yes.
Be intentional.
Yes.
Okay, I'll give you some time to think so we can go stop water skiing and get into it. I mean, we got a blue heart.
Okay, yay. Welcome, Denver.
Good morning, Denver. Thank you for jumping in the chat. And what this means is the tribe. Follow Denver, give Denver some love. Denver, appreciate you jumping in here, man. It's so awesome to know that we have another person jumping into the deep end with us. And Jeremy, I hope you noticed, I got your shirt, big dog. I got your shirt. I'm wearing it, sporting it for us. Miss Holly Totten. She says, good morning, Jesse. Good morning, Holly, who is the awesomest. If y'all are looking to get unstuck or start flirting, exploring the idea of writing your own book, hit Holly up. She's got the sauce. She will help you. Cade. So I got to meet Cade in person at New Orleans. I was also invited to interact with his team. Colin Milberg made that connection. And meeting with this team was awesome because they were very open. There was room for like challenge and really deep, meaningful discussion. And I just assumed that he was a super cool guy because he's like organizing that whole thing. And then when I met him in person, it's like, well, hell, like exactly, right? Like, no, just super cool guy. Okay, glad you're here, my man.
Yes.
And Denver's giving us his little intro. He says he's from Peoria, Illinois. He just got the book from the Refine My Site team. Awesome. Thank you, Denver. Did you see a bunch of posts last night?
Yes, from Manny, superintendent, who got the book and was like blowing up LinkedIn on all his takeaways. So you're gonna have to give us a little background on that, but that was freaking awesome.
Yes, yeah. Well, we'll come back to that at some point. So we got some cheat codes coming in. Keep them coming, y'all. Look, we got another blue heart. Eric Talley, welcome, Eric. Folks,
he's with me.
Eric, you know Eric?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Eric, I got to warn you, I'm going to be following you here once we get off the live stream. But folks, let's connect with them.
Oh, wait, you forgot to highlight. So you said all you got was intentional in what I said. Felipe got something too. So you got to give me a little bit of credit on maybe you're not the only one.
Yeah, like he picked up 2 words. Visual. Jen using visuals for performance reviews is genius. Yeah, awesome. So intentional, visually intentional. Thank you for that. I love it. So again, Eric, y'all got to give Eric some love. This is about community, right? Mm-hmm. This whole NoBS thing is about building community, having uncomfortable conversations about the imperfect things that are us, people in business. Mm-hmm. And so please, oh my God, look at all this stuff. We got all kinds of stuff.
Okay, you can go to those in a minute. Okay, let's ask you the question. What are your thoughts on performance reviews? What are your, like, how do you approach those? How have you?
All right. So I'm gonna ask the folks out there in the Omniverse, should I go deep or should I pull a Jennifer and say, well, I think they're critically important and a vital action that all leaders in management take? I'm joking. Okay. So this is how I feel about performance reviews. And I'll talk about kind of like my maturation around the thing. So coming up, I came up as a plumber, got to lead man, got to foreman, and right at that foreman superintendent level, performance reviews became a requirement of the job. It was a responsibility of the role. And there was a rub because up until that point, I got measured on my output, my personal output. So whatever I would do, whatever my job was, it was about me building things, delivering things. It was not about offering feedback. And also, I didn't have many role models, if you will, to learn how to give feedback or performance reviews. And so when I had to give them, I'm like, feedback? We need feedback. You got your check on Friday. That's feedback. You're still hired, right? Like, suck it up. That's exactly how I thought about it. But again, as I was learning the role and learning the idea of leadership, it was like, oh, no. Like, it isn't important because y'all know, everybody knows, I thrive on feedback, right? Like, I mean, I have a survey specifically designed to get the feedback that I want. And so eventually it got to be of the most important thing I could do. And I'll share a story of why. Like, I was working with this young man. He was a third-year apprentice, which means he'd been with the company for 3 years and had been going through apprenticeship. He's 1 year away from being qualified to go take his journeyman exam. He ends up on my team, and the boy did not. He was not performing to the level he should have been performing to. And so I let him know, I'm like, bro, like, you got a long way to go. You're a third year apprentice, XYZ. And and he just looked at me like it was the most offensive thing he could have heard. I was like, whoa. I was like, man, I didn't mean to come across disrespectful, but has no one ever told you that? He said, no. And I said, okay, so why do you think that you jump around from job to job? You're never on a job longer than a month or 2 months. And he's like, well, because everybody wants me. And I said, and like, he was dead serious, like, he wasn't being arrogant. He was just, he really believed it. And I said, oh man, like right then and there, I was like, ooh, this is the problem, right? Not like superficial, we should do it because it's important. We need to give people honest performance reviews, because if they don't know they're underperforming, you're robbing them of their career, right? That young man was 3 years in and not equipped with the knowledge and the skills that he needed to have. So we sat down and we had the conversation. He got himself straightened out, did good things. But after that experience, I'm like, oh my goodness. Okay. Like, back to Adam's point that he made earlier, was this performance review thing is not a one-time event. And if I treat it like a one-time event, I am underserving the people that I'm responsible to, like 100%. Keeping a log of all the things. And here's the other fun thing that I got to observe in myself and other people is when I'm doing that performance review, because it's at the end of the year, well, depending on how your systems are set up, even if it's quarterly, that's still not sufficient. What I am actually going to do, like for real, I'm going to be filling out those documents the day before I do the damn thing, if not the morning of. And like, I don't know if anybody out there does their performance reviews like weeks ahead of time in preparation, tell us how you do that, because I haven't met anybody that does that. Anyhow, and so when I'm filling it out under duress, right, the pressure of the deadline's tomorrow, the thing that I'm referencing is the thing that happened in the last 2 weeks.
Yes.
And so if they were like super awesome and killed it in the last 2 weeks, guess what? They got a glowing review. If they sucked it up, guess what? Their review sucked. And I didn't account for anything that happened before that. And so that's the question, right? Is how do you, as an individual, as a being reviewed, not reviewing other people, let's start with how you as a person being reviewed, how do you go about capturing the things that you do so that you can inform or remind your supervisor of the actual contributions that you've had along the way? Did I answer your question, Jen?
I mean, you kind of, you dove in a little bit. You swam to the top really fast, so that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, it's contagious. That's all I can say.
No, but what I love about what you said, and I think this is the piece that we'll get into it more later, is the importance of being transparent and having those real conversations and helping people like the person that you just referenced for two reasons. One, how much it's got to help that person. Because if you're just skating through things and just letting him feel like he's doing something, then you're not helping him. But how is that helping all the people around him that are watching him continue to grow in the company and get recognized and about to be a journeyman? And they see the way he performs. They see the things he's doing. It's not only impacting the person that maybe you're responsible to help do that review or, the review that's on us, but like the people around us. Because those are things that I've seen in the conversations I've observed is, well, if he can get away with that, then why am I working so hard? Because if he's going to get a raise, then I'm going to get a raise. If he's going to get promoted, I'm going to get promoted. So it's not just that one person. It like the environment and the culture that you're creating when it comes to not having those real, honest conversations with people and just putting people through because they put this many years in and stuff like that. Like it impacts more than just that person. It impacts the team and it impacts the culture that you're creating.
Yes, 100%. So one thing you shared it yesterday on the pop-up that I learned to do, because and that's also the reason behind the OG spotlight, right? Is we suck. Well, I'm not going to say we as in everybody. A lot of us are underskilled at advocating for ourselves. A lot of us are underskilled of highlighting all the amazing things that we do. One of those people, perfect example, is boom, Curly Coats, right? Jennifer Lacey. She does her review as soon as it's sent out. Letting it sit would drive her crazy. Wow. Well, we're gonna have to steal some of that energy. And like, so I'm not good at it either. Like when I think about the stuff that I've done at work, like the stuff outside of work and the stuff that's like specific to the job, that's like clearly in my core responsibilities. So what I started doing was I keep a folder on my inbox and it's called Small Wins. Right? Super simple. Whenever I get an email from a client or somebody I'm working with or the GC or my boss or somebody in another department, it would serve two purposes. One was to house them so I can reference them in preparation for my review, because that was the whole purpose of it. But what it also did was when I was feeling down, right? Like when I'm feeling like, man, I'm sucking it up. I ain't like, why are they even paying me? I would go to my small win folder and read a few things like, oh man, like I've been doing good things. I'm just, I'm having a dry run right now, dry patch, and it's no big deal. But it totally equipped me for that performance review so that I could list all of the things. I mean, not every stupid thing. Like I tied my shoes today with high efficacy. That's not what we're talking about. I wanted to list the impactful things, right? Because there's a difference between all the value that I want to bring and the actual value I provide. Mm-hmm. Right? Like if I just come, you and I've talked about this, Jen. If I used to operate in this way of, man, I have all these ideas and all these things, and then I want to impose my value on people, but that's not the value that they're seeking. And so if I'm over producing value that people aren't getting any value from, then a good example of that is unsolicited advice, right? That's straight up overproduction. Nobody asked for the damn thing. Why are you doing it? And so what the small win folder did was, it was that, I don't know, validation or the data point that said, what I did over here provided value. This person articulated that. And so I was able to really keep track of the impactful things that I was doing throughout the year and be ready to put that in, right? Because I've seen a few of them, like what were your contributions or what achievements or accomplishments have you had throughout the year? And, let me go to my folder. Bam, there they are. Pull them out and put them on the thing. It also helped when building my resume, because I had to do that after 17 years. I'm like, what the hell? Like, what do I put here? Like, oh, wait, I got my folder. And boom, bam, put it in there. So that helped out a whole bunch.
Well, that's a great That's wonderful because a couple of things that you just said. I know we've got so much going on in the comments, but I want to make the transition here because you and I have talked about this. So number one, yes, you told me about the small wins folder, and I thought that was an amazing idea. I have done that for two reasons, and you touched on it, on being able to capture things throughout. And Maria asked a question: what is a small win? What classifies everything's big? It doesn't matter if it's a win. If it's a win, it goes in the folder. And it for me, it does two things. Number one is it actually does three things. Number one, it allows me to have kind of some historical, data on some impact that I've made. And I'm going to tell you, and if I had to guess, most people in the comments and that are part of this tribe, they suck at dancing in the light. They're not good at it. They're not good when somebody shines a light on you and like recognizes you and celebrates you. You're just like, okay, that's great, and then you keep going. But in those moments when people are shining a light and are recognizing and celebrating you, you've done something impactful. You've done something to make them want to recognize you. And we usually run away from those things, and we definitely don't capture them. And so that small wins folder is a way to, okay, right now you don't want to dance in the light, put it in the folder, and then you're able to go back. And if anything, because most of us in an industry, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, like third-party validation is huge. Like I can sit here and say I'm great, and Jesse can even say I'm great just because we interact a lot. But when someone else goes, hey, you did this amazing thing, and I want to thank you for this, and I want to celebrate this, that's like next level. And if we're capturing and pulling those things somewhere and being able to pull them back out and go, okay, here's what I was asked to do, and here's all the feedback I got based on how it impacted these people on their jobs, in their performance, in the implementation that they're doing, whatever it is that you're responsible for, like that's not you just bragging, and it's not you just trying to, do a prescriptive checkbox. That's people that were impacted by the things you did. And that's the segue, Jesse, that I know you and I want to really hit on today is where does the people part of those performance reviews, get captured and get celebrated and really get talked about?
Yeah, there's a lot there. I want to share. There's a lot of good cheat codes.
I know.
I'm going to bring them up here.
Okay.
Just so that we don't miss them. So Jeremy Atkinson says, measure what matters, has some great concepts about performance reviews done the right way with the focus on pre-countability. That seems to be a popular word here lately.
I know. Armando thinks he coined it, but obviously not.
Hashtag pre-countability. That means I own it. I also like to do an initial counseling to set expectations and goals to give them a target. Fabulous. Thank you, Mr. Atkinson. Miss Maria says she CCs her direct leader on major things that she does. So like multiple times a week. Yes, good. So a question on that is, does your direct leader know the purpose behind you CCing them? And the reason I ask that is because I kind of have this thing where if I'm CC'd on something, it goes to the lower priority in terms of what I'm going to be processing. If it's not directly to me, like if it's directly to me, that gets direct attention. If I'm CC'd on it, I'll look at it later because I'm CC'd on a ton of things. So that's a question. Like, does your leader know the purpose behind you CCing them? Because if not, you might be hoping and wishing that they're getting it and digesting it, and then be disappointed. And I'm saying that because I've disappointed tons of people, and I've been disappointed too because I had this plan, but they didn't know that I was working a plan, and it turned into something really stinky. Thomas LeMay says, please write down and share your roles, goals, accomplishments, and lessons learned. As a reviewer, this gives him great anxiety when I'm the one trying to remember for you. That's some real talk right there, right? Because and I think you mentioned it yesterday, Jen, like, no, it was Sean. Sean mentioned it, is when we're doing performance review, if I'm being reviewed and my boss is reviewing me, I'm usually discontent with the review that I got. And I don't care if it's like all good or all bad. I'm usually discontent with it. But I forget, like, we all have jobs. Right? We all have all this other pressure, all these other things that we got to deliver on, that we got to make happen. And so if we're not preparing them, helping them do better at the performance review, we're missing the mark, right? It is absolutely a partnership. It's a relationship thing to make that a meaningful experience. So thank you for that, Thomas, for the vulnerability. Kirby, man, throwing Sean out again. Sean Moran, he created an elaborate spreadsheet listing all his industry involvements, and Kirby got to get a copy of it and adapt it to fit her. Ooh, so we're sharing tools now. Writing out what she's involved in inside and outside the gate helps her share her accomplishments in her formal reviews. A bonus, it helps to make sure I'm not overcommitting to things throughout the year. I think there's something really important there, Jen. Like, we want to have these high reviews and we want to contribute, right, and be a part of a lot of things. But sometimes, like, that's dangerous. It's a slippery slope. We could get overcommitted and then underperform. Have you ever had that happen or seen it happen?
Okay. Yes. Is there another question?
No, I would go to Justin. Justin says, treat your preparation for a review as if it's a job interview. You can't assume everyone at the table knows what you have brought to the table. So thank you, Justin, because I want to build on this. When your firm is prepping to go and interview for a project, how much energy is put into that preparation? This is a question for the Omniverse and you, Jennifer Lacey.
Well, a lot, because obviously that's how we get work. And I think what I've seen the transition a lot more early on was we're just going to go after, we're just going to go after stuff. We're just going to go after work because we know we have a great resume. And now the prep that, one, I'm engaged in, and two, that is part of our process, it's more strategic. It's focused on people. It's focused on team. It's focused on that collaborative approach, that how are you going to go in and how are you going to work with the owner and with the designer. And to me, like, it was a shift, because before it's like, here's our resume, here's all our back, here's the experience, here's of our team, here's the work we've done in this field. And, and that's kind of how you approach work. And now it's almost flipped. It's flipped. All that's important. And that's what gets us to the table. But the partnerships that we have with our current clients, or even ones that we're trying to go after, everything comes down to these relationships. Who got us to the table? How did we even hear about it? Have we worked with this team before? And when we go in, are we disconnected? Like, I'm working with you, but I don't know you. And I'm not, I'm still trying to figure out who you are. Or how much time goes into the prep to where when you walk into a room, you are unified. And we are all on the same page, and we have the same goals, and we are here because we are going to work with you, and we are all going to get to the end together. Like that, that's a huge mind shift on, on just approaching work, because you have a resume that can do that work.
Yes. So a lot, right? Like, it's super focused, it's organized, it happens over time. A lot of people are totally committed to it. Like, they understand the importance of it. And if a business isn't growing, it's failing, right? Simply put. For a business to survive, you need people. Is that fair?
Yes, 100%, 100%. Okay.
And so we put and like every firm I've ever been in contact with expends a tremendous amount of resources in preparation for pursuits. And the amount of resources and energy they expend into providing feedback, performance reviews for the people that do the business, that keep the business alive and growing, it's like this much. Just a little bit. And so maybe that's the question. What would it take to maybe a 4-to-1 ratio, right? If the energy and effort that we put into pursuits is a 4, and we put a 1, like 25% of that effort into providing meaningful performance reviews, maybe we'd have a different outcome. What do you think, Jen?
Well, I love this conversation because the core of this,
Jen's awesome.
That's going in my small wins folder. Just so
there you go.
But everything you're talking about, the core of it is the people part. And I think we've got to focus on that part. So we're talking about pursuits, partnerships, collaboration. We all want to be on the same page. We all want to have the goals, like all of that. If it's the people, and we've got to make sure that, we focus so much on that, and then we get the job. And then how do we carry that through when it comes to the people part and what's important to those people? And so I guess the transition is I want to ask Jesse is, when you think about performance reviews, whether you're creating them or you're getting ready to be reviewed, or you are one that's going to be reviewing someone, how many times do you ask these type of questions? What are you passionate about? What's important to you? How do you rest? Do we talk about those things? Because those are all people things.
Yeah. There's a big answer. And I actually, when I'm interviewing people, or when I should say, when I have interviewed people, one of my questions is always like, how do you de-stress? How do you manage your stress? What do you do to deal with it? And it's awesome because every time I ask that, people it's a weird thing. Historically, no, I would not ask the question like, how do you take care of yourself? How do you take time off? Now, what I did do eventually, right? Maybe the last 10 years, I followed this, which Ms. Tanya says, if continuous feedback is provided, there shouldn't be any surprises, and the review should merely be a recap.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It is a relationship.
Yes.
And it is dialogue along the way as to what are we working towards? How are we performing? What needs to be adjusted? What needs to be you know what? You suck at it and you don't even care that you suck at it. Let's give you something else. For real. That's a thing. So one thing I did around that spirit, which was huge, and Noah's probably on the call. He's going to talk smack because it's true. I was sitting down doing my performance evaluations for the team, and I'm at home and I'm doing them, and I'm like, wait a minute, this feels kind of weird because they're my boys, right? I golf with them and hang out. I'm like, I need to get feedback from them too because we're a team. And so the idea was, and I sat down with the three of us. Hey guys, here's my idea. I got to do performance reviews, and we do this all the time. We fill it out and then it kind of goes away and then we just keep going. I said, but these are some things that we really, really need to work on because we're kicking butt. And I think we can get even more kick buttery if we do this consistently. So the idea was, how about we all share our reviews with each other and identify the number one thing that we want to work on and help each other with, and give each other permission on the regular to provide each other feedback on that thing that we need to work on. Because it's us here that's going to make it better. Ain't somebody over there in the office. So it was they're like, yes. I said, but the first rule is you got to give me feedback and point out the number one thing I need to work on. And they did. They were wrong, but they still picked something. No, they all agreed that my listening, I didn't listen. That was their answer. Jesse, you just don't listen. I'm like, what do you mean I don't listen? I'm not the best damn listener. No. And so we worked through that and gave each other. And every time that I did it, I would cut them off. They would point it out differently, right? Some were subtle and gave me the sign okay, let me shut up. And some were like, hey, shut up, stupid. You're doing it again. Ugh. That was Noah. The point is, because we created those terms and the agreement, we all got really good, really fast, because it wasn't this annual thing. Hey, Jesse, become a better listener. I'll talk to you next year. We're doing it live and on the regular. What do you think about that, Jennifer?
Well, I have a great example that's is personal example on the accountability piece and how important that is to have that conversation with the people that you work with directly. So Rachel is on today, and one, I'm going to shout her out because she's amazing and she helps support me and makes me be able to function. I'm just going to give all that credit to her. But I know, and I will own that I suck at delegation. I just suck. I suck at it. I'm not good at it because in my mind, I can do it quicker, faster, and get it done. And it's eliminating the waste of all the other stuff that other people could be doing. Now that was what was in my mind. When in reality, if I keep doing that over and over again, then my performance is going to suffer because I'm trying to take on so much that other people could do. So I'm just going to own I suck at delegation. And so because of that, I will tell Rachel, here's what we're doing. Here's the calendar. Here's how we're planning. And then I'll get a call and I'll say, yes, I can do that. I'll get a call and I'll say, yes, I can. I'll make that work. I'll fit it in. And I'll navigate it because that's me and what I do. What I had to do, which was so freaking hard. And again, I think it was just as hard for Rachel and the conversation we had is I had to tell Rachel, I need you to tell me what I can and can't do. And she's like, what are you talking about? I have no idea how to do that because you do all these things. And I'm like, no. You are the perfect person to do this because you are trying to help me do my job. And I'm not helping you at all. And so I gave her permission, not just once a week, not just once a month, not just once a year, daily, to tell me this is what you're doing. You can't do it. We've got to fix it. And then we have a conversation. Sometimes a client based something I can't move around, but a lot of times it's just me not realizing what load I've taken. And so giving her the permission to be able to hold me accountable and to call me out and to even be the person that communicates that to the other party and says, hey, this isn't going to work, but hey, now you can do this. It has empowered her, but it's also made my life so much easier.
Yes. Well, and since I have insider information, and you and I talked about this before when I was getting, makeup and getting my hair did. I think there's a lot of room for us to grow and evolve in terms of this self-care thing. And performance reviews are a perfect point, like a good starting line for this thing. And you asked it earlier, right, Jen? Was it part of the questions? Was it part of the interaction I was having when I was doing performance reviews? No. I have a former boss who one of the questions he asked me was, what do you need help on? What do you suck at that you want help on? And my mind immediately went to like work stuff. And in my head, I'm like, bro, you don't even know what I do. So how are you going to help me with that? But he's like, no. It doesn't matter. Like personal, whatever. I was like, oh, I said, well, I really suck at keeping in touch with my mom. Like I'm traveling all the time. And the dude, he was like, oh, good. He said, well, so what do you mean? He's like, do you ever bring them gifts? I'm like, no, I don't bring gifts. Like, I'm telling you, I suck at this. Like, help me out. He's like, dude, do this. Because what I do is I'll take pictures of food not because I post it, but because my mom, like, she's funny, right? I'll take her out to eat somewhere fancy and she ain't going to order. She's going to order like a cheeseburger because it's too expensive. And she just won't, it's just outside of her to do anything there. But she wants to know if I'm eating like fancy, delicious meals. So I take pictures of my food to send them to mom because mom's like, oh, wow, that's all, she gets excited. But that's like the extent. And I do that maybe twice a year, not go out and eat, but send her a picture. Anyways, he's like, dude, here's what you need to do. When you're traveling, super easy. Go buy a little keychain or something in the city that you're in at the airport and give it to your mom. I was like, oh, man, that's like really easy. Like, I don't have to be thinking, just pick a keychain. Says New York City. Boom, here you go. That worked. Next time I talked to him, he's like, hey, so have you talked to her? I said, yeah, man, I gave her the keychain, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, this was years ago. To this date, every time I talk to him, the first thing he asks me is, have you talked to your mom? Like, oh! And so the point is, like, that really helped me change my behavior and improve in an area that I wanted to improve in. Okay. So back to this healthcare idea. We all know, are you taking care of yourself? Are you taking time off? You need to you need to focus on self-care. Like, sure, that sounds great. How awesome would it be if your boss knew that you sucked at taking time off and your boss said, hey, schedule some time off and we're going to meet in 2 months or whatever the cadence is. And I want to talk about the time off that you took. And then, because if you're like me, you're going to fail at taking that time off. And if I fail, then my boss says, okay, clearly you need more help. Let's look at your calendar for the next 2 to 3 months. We're going to block some time off and you're going to tell me what I need to do to make sure you take time off. Meaning, what tasks do we need to move around? What kind of support and resources do you need for you to take time off? And so this example that I just spilled, this is for all of us that are out there that have direct reports, that are developing, supporting, and developing people. Are you doing that, or are you just saying self-care needs improvement? What do you think about that, Jen?
Well, one, this topic is huge, and you and I've talked about it a lot. I had a moment in the last 6 months, had a different boss, have a new boss. And, I'm used to going in monthly meetings. We talk through things I'm working on. I'm a person that's leading a lot of change within my firm. And so there's a lot of, things that I'm got my hands in. And it was a game changer. And it blew my mind when we were sitting down in a meeting, probably 3 or 4 months ago. And I was rattling off and this and this, I'm going to do whatever. We got done. And he looks at me and he goes, and what are you doing to rest? I'm telling you, it literally made me start crying because I, one, had no idea how to respond. And two, for the work all of us do. It's not just me and Jesse going out here and changing the world. It's all of us out here changing the world. And we are and we are high performers, and that's how we function. And that is that. I mean, we're just 90 miles an hour. That's just what we do. And for someone to, again, recognize the things I'm doing, absolutely recognizing them, but to be able to see and everything I'm doing and to ask that question, it took me aback, emotionally, everything. And I had to stop. I couldn't even respond. And that was the person that I report to asking me that. Just a question.
Yep.
But it goes back to that self-care part of we're now talking more about it. We're getting more comfortable having those conversations, but are we having those conversations with the people that we lead, or are we having those conversations with the people that lead us?
Correct. And we have, I guess the point is, it don't matter what side of the fence or the coin you're on in this review thing, mm-hmm. is, yes, the leader is responsible. And so am I. Right? There's this model that I have in my head. I mean, not my modeling days back when I was blue steel. This model of I'm only going to complain about things that I'm prepared to take action upon. Say it again. I am only going to complain about things that I am prepared to take action upon. So if I ain't going to do nothing about it, I ain't going to cry about it. Right?
Yes.
If I'm complaining, it's because I'm going to do something about it. If I'm pissy about my boss and the review he gives me or she gives me, I need to do something about it. Not complain about it, do something about it. And so part of that is this whole preparation thing that we're talking about. Part of that is having regular communication. Mike Hyman, I don't know if he's probably listening, but when I started reporting to him, he's like, man, you're really like a high touch kind of guy. I'm like, I am. I need to know because you know this, Jen, I'm going to go and I'm going to go fast. And if you don't tell me I'm going in the wrong direction, I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah.
I'm having fun. I'm learning. I'm meeting people. I'm connecting. I'm serving. I'm just going to go. So I need to know it. Is this the right direction? Is this in alignment with what your expectations are? And we developed that check-in, right? We figured out it wasn't every morning, hey, how are you doing? It was, but we did have a regular, every 2 hours, it was twice a month. and we'll get together. Sometimes it was text, sometimes we talk, sometimes it was random calls. But I had to be clear about, hey man, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I intend to do. Do you see any tripping hazards? What should I stop? Right? Like, that's very clear. Not what do you want from me? This is what I'm doing. What are your thoughts? Because if I didn't say this is what I'm doing, you know what I would get from like every boss I ever had? Keep on doing what you're doing.
Yes.
Well, thank you for that. Right. And so again, point is, if when I'm frustrated with my reviews, the ones that I'm receiving, I ain't going to complain about it unless I'm going to do something different about it. Right. And y'all have the NoBS tribe out there in the Omniverse have dropped like gigantic
Yes.
code in the chat. And so please go back and read it. Like, there's some really good stuff.
Can I add to well, no, you do your comments and then I'll go.
Yeah. I just want to give a shout out, Miss Leslie.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning, Leslie.
She's coming in from the NYC. Terry talks about the 360 skip level reviews are another interesting concept. I love 360 reviews. Like, that is the ultimate for me. Especially like, that's why I have mirrors like on the floor, on the roof, like my 360 review every morning, brother. I love it. I'm joking. But no, 360 reviews are very powerful because you get feedback from every perspective, right? Your direct reports, the people you report to, your peers, and you kind of get to see like, ooh, I got some work to do here. All right, sorry, Jen, what were you saying?
No, so one of the comments was from Maya, and she asked a question, and that was going to be going into my next point. So, a lot of times we ask, or we like you said, not complaining, but we like call attention to something on, this isn't happening. Why is this not happening? How can we make this happen? And so her question in here is, if one is on a project who does not peer recognize, what are good ways to generate small wins? An easy one is to generate a small win and be the person. Be the person. If you see that someone is not doing something for you or not doing something for the team, be the person to do it. Because there's nowhere, I know in my company, that they say only you can highlight people, only you can elevate people, only you can shine a light on somebody. There's nothing like that anywhere. So like, it's so easy you see something going on and even in your mind go, man, they're not seeing this person do this, or they're not recognizing what I'm doing. They don't see it. You know what? That's okay. Go shine a light on someone else, because all of a sudden someone's going to go, that felt good. Well, what can I do to do that for someone else? And then all of a sudden you're creating these ripples that will turn into something bigger because you just dropped that very first stone, that very first something. And those cost nothing. They cost no money to be able to. And so when you're feeling something, you're feeling icky, you're feeling not, valued, go, okay, who do I value? And how can I elevate the crap out of them? Because that stuff comes back. You cannot shine a light on anybody and that light not come back on you. It just is not possible. And so when you see that and you're in that mode, Jesse says, when you're like, okay, I don't like this. And instead of complaining or even drawing attention to it, what can I do to be able to impact that change?
Yes. On the same line of thinking, I did it, and I know other people that have done it, right? And everybody knows the common like cliche: people don't quit companies, they quit their boss, and this sort of thing. Because I'm a quitter and I've abandoned several teams over my career, one interesting thing that I found is I really, really, really believe that people didn't really like me because of the kind of work that I did, and I was represented change, and also for a long time I was a big jerk. But when I was leaving, all of a sudden, every single time, people were like, man, they wanted to have one-on-ones and sit down, and like, man, I'll talk about tearing up. Like, people would really tell me what they appreciated about me and how I made them feel and how I helped them, how I shifted their thinking just a little bit. And I'm like, well, God, man, why didn't you tell me this before? Like, I've been thinking I sucked this whole time. And so to Maya's question, and also to your point, Jen, Like, highlight, yes, but how do you demonstrate appreciation for people on the regular, right? Like, these are the things I appreciate about you. Jen, I've told you, like, Jen, you and I, the energy that you bring helps me access this creativity that's never really available except for when you and I talk. And I deeply appreciate that. There's no question. You know what I appreciate, right? And so back to Maya's question is, there's things that I appreciate about people, and I like, oh, I need to let them know, right? And very specific. This is what I appreciate about you. This is why. Please keep doing it.
Yes.
And on the flip side, like this self-advocating thing, which we're probably not going to be able to touch on today, but I also tell people, very deliberate, like, hey, I'm going to do this, or I did this because I saw you were struggling with X, Y, and Z. So I decided to take this action. Let me know if it helps you, right? Because it's so easy in the busyness of our day for us to take for granted the small, giant things that people are doing in service to us. And so I just make it a little obvious, right? Now, like, because if not, I mean, the reality is I'm still human. I know I don't look it, but I am still human, right? And when I do a nice thing or make that sort of deposit and they don't notice it, it's very easy for me to build resentment around it. Right?
Well,
But
it's
if I
self-advocate.
tell them, it's the self-advocating piece. So another little cheat code in that that small win question, Maya, is bosses are really good is with this question: what can I help you with? Is there anything I can do for you? And I learned, like, ooh, that's a perfect opportunity to self-advocate. Like, because normally, no, all good, everything's great, I appreciate it. I said, oh, no. I'm going to have a list of things that person can do for me. And sometimes it was like, this was a like for real one. I would have it ready and I used it over and over until it actually happened. Is there anything I can do for you? It's like, yes, what you can do to help me is the next initiative that we're going to roll out, give it to another team. Because me and my team have had the last 4 or 5. And we're still getting that through our workflow, and we have our regular job. And if we take on another one, we may not be able to deliver the same quality of service that we have been delivering. So, right. So one, I'm highlighting that, bro, let me remind you, you keep coming to us because we're killing it. We're a little loaded. Give it to somebody else. And we've been doing a good job. And that will
help them build those skills so then they can be doing better.
You got it. And so that was me creating the small win, right? He wasn't sending me an email saying, hey, great job, your team's knocking it out of the park, and this is why I go to y'all all the time. So I just flipped it, and let me remind you, baby. So that may be another technique that you can use to advocate for yourself and build, I guess, fundamentally here with Jen's point and everything we're talking about, this is it really is abnormal behavior for a lot of us to be celebrating each other, celebrating ourselves. And so somebody has to be courageous and start that. And
it's
Maya,
a learned behavior, Jesse. Like I want to make that point, and I have a story again, and it's so important because we weren't taught that. We just, our generation and our people were not taught that. I have an 11-year-old, talk about Alex a lot, and she's got a lot going on. She is amazing, but she also, she has some, anxiety things going on. She has some other things going on that she has to deal with all the time. And she's 11. And she was in a group of people, and they were going around and talking about, who they are, introducing themselves and what makes them special. I'm trying not to cry in this. They go around, and she said, my name is Alex, and what makes me special is I stutter. She is advocating for herself in a group of people that you don't highlight those things. You don't elevate those things. You don't shine a light on things that make you different and that things you struggle with. You just don't. And It is a learned behavior. We have got to help people understand that shining a light on things that make them different, that may not be a celebration for every person, doesn't make it not a celebration for that person. We've got to change the way that we are having these conversations.
Okay. I love where you're at, Jen, because we keep talking about, and this is just where I live, we keep talking about these performance reviews outside of us in conjunction with another human being.
Mm-hmm.
What I just heard you describe was Alex giving her own self a performance review. And so what is that communication that we have with ourselves, the review that we have with ourselves in terms of what are our gifts? And what are we serving to the degree that we want to serve? I mean, yesterday we had our supporting capability call, and I felt like we were floating around that. Like what the hell? And so with Alex to have the courage to say, hey, my superpower, my gift is this, and embracing that. How many of us how do you do that, Jen?
Well, I'm going to tell you, it's super hard. It's hard because we're not wired to focus on the things we suck at. We're not wired to focus on the things that are, I'm going to say negative, but like that make us less than. That's just not that, like, no one wants to highlight and elevate that. But what I've learned, even though it's not the way I'm wired and it's not super comfortable, that if I intentionally tell myself, this is what you're going to do, and this is what we're going to talk about, and you're going to put it out there, people just follow. People just do it. Like when I go and I say these things that are taboo, or you don't really talk about those things, then someone else jumps in. And I mean, a prime example is the stuff we're talking about. If you just look at the comments,
yep,
it's not that Jesse and I have all these answers. We don't. We just create the platform for these conversations to happen. But like what people are talking about and the things that they're sharing are those things that make us sometimes less than. And it's in our head. It doesn't mean, Jesse, you think I'm less than because of this, or someone thinks that Alex is less than. It's society, and it's the way, it's a learned behavior both ways. Yes. And so for me, I have to push through it. I have to run towards the danger, jump off the cliff, and go, I'm going to do it. And if people follow, that's great. But guess what? If not, I'm at least putting an example out there.
100%. Be the example. And Leslie says the magic is in the comment.
Yes, not Jesse.
Well, I don't know about that. Yes, there is, like, guys, y'all are freaking killing it in the comments. I can't, it's like missing Adam right now, right? Because I'm kind of torn between the two, but oh my goodness. Yes. So maybe there's a question for the tribe, right? What is something that you're working on? What is something you would like benefit from having help with?
Yes, and we can help. All of us can help with the accountability. That would be amazing.
Yeah. So Nathan shares an awesome cheat code, right? If you see something, say something.
Yes.
You know what? So Christy Powell, I've seen her do it. Christy Powell with Women Talk Construction. We were out walking. We were in South Carolina, and there was some work. There was some landscaping going on. And, there were guys working, digging, doing their work, doing their job. And Christy, hey, I love what you're doing. You're doing a great job. You just started interacting with them. And they were working hard. It was hot. And she just engaged with them, which seems like a passive thing. But I'm going to tell you, I've been on the other side where, like, I'm in a ditch, or I'm digging something, or I'm working on a hose bib or something, and people are walking past me as if I'm a shrub. Like, they don't even see me. They're avoiding eye contact. There's no interaction. And when people did say, hey, nice work, thank you for doing that, whatever it is, like, it made me feel human.
Yes.
Right?
So,
go.
Yes. Go. Yes, no, because it's a prime example, and you know this because you were part of it. last year at Congress in Phoenix, Adam Hoots was walking around the convention center, and there's a guy outside working on the pavement, and had some stuff roped off and all that, and he was working outside, and everyone was kind of walking around trying to get into the convention center for the conference. And Adam saw everything, stopped, was talking to him, and asking him how's it going? And it's man, it's hard because I'm trying to get my work, but there's all these people, and started building a relationship with him. Videoed the conversation, put it in his presentation. People in the presentation recognized it, saw it, and then even went out and started talking and having a conversation with the guy after the presentation. Mm-hmm. And so this guy that just showed up to work that day is now being able to share the things that maybe are, struggling. We're all in construction, and we're making his job harder. And we're at a lean conference. And so just that whole thing, the way it happened, and Adam shining a light, just starting the conversation, videoing the conversation, then people their takeaways were, I'm going out there right now to speak to him and to talk to him. That's exactly what you just said. It's you see something, say something.
Yes, 100%. And how does that all tie to this performance review thing? Do it on the regular. Mm-hmm. It's going to take work to build the habit. And I would recommend early on to use the words, hey, let's have a performance conversation.
I love that.
Way, it's super clear. It's super clear that this is a performance conversation. That's super clear to you and your brain, and it's super clear to the individual. Because what I've done in the past is man, you need to show up on time. This is bullshit. Or, hey, good job. And then I tell myself, oh yeah, I've been giving them regular feedback. Have I? But if I the language of, hey, let's have a performance conversation, it's an anchor point for both of you. Mm-hmm. And you remind, oh, I've done it once. Let me do it again. Like Rachel and her 5 minutes of Rachel time. Do it one time, you can do it again and do it again. And now she's doing it multiple times.
But be prepared that it's going to scare the crap out of people the first time you say it, because people associate performance reviews, performance conversations with something's wrong. Mm-hmm. And that's just where they're going to go. And so you're going to see a face, and you're going to see a whatever. But the more that it's regular reps, the more you have those conversations, they're going to see what the end goal is and what you're trying to accomplish and what you're trying to build. And it's not pointing out something.
Yes. So few comments, man, this is good. So Justin says, this is again, to start building these behaviors, these habits, says, use the first few minutes of regular meetings with anybody, right? Team, trade partner, OAC, whatever, to brag on people and share those small wins with the larger group. Yep. This shows appreciation and sets the tone for a healthy meeting. 100%. Thank you for that, my friend. And people are already responding to the thing they need help with. So good. Maria says, oh, I'm wired to think about the negative aspects, but new to sharing them outside of self. All right, Maria, NoBS Tribe, we got to help our sister out. Thomas LeMay, I don't know if you've listened. Have you listened to any of the collabo sessions on the goal, Jennifer?
They're freaking amazing. It's so much my brain can't even comprehend it all in one sitting.
Oh, Thomas is awesome. And so Herbie, if you've read the goal, Herbie's the guy, right? The bottleneck, and there's a bottleneck story around that. And so what we're doing right now is helping Herbie unpack his backpack. How can we spread the load as a community? If you need help with something, let us know. We're going to help each other. That's what we're here for. So thank you for the comment, Thomas. Christy, super vulnerable. And this isn't the first time. She's put it out there before, embracing her uniqueness. She needs help with the embrace.
Yep.
So folks, let's give her some help. Who else is out there?
There's just so much. Please go back later, look at the comments, give feedback, comment on them, because there's so much in there.
Yes, tons. Pete shares. Wait, did I pick the wrong? Oh, it moved on me. So he's saying, tell them what they're doing wrong, and then tell them what they're doing good. All right, this is where you're missing. This is where you're killing it. Let's do more of this. And what can we do to like stop missing or miss less? It's
Or you don't have to
it
do the
sounds
sandwich at
simple.
all. You don't even have to do the sandwich. Maybe you just see somebody doing
Oh,
something
all
awesome,
right. You
and
brought it
then you're
up.
and then you can
I
just
can.
do it. I know you're like, this is all of, you love this conversation, so go.
I have zero respect for people that use the poo-poo sandwich method. Like just straight up. Poo-poo sandwich. And they teach this. And if you do it, do it. And it's working for you, great. I'm letting you know right now, don't do it to me because I'm gonna call you on it. I am gonna call you on it. And maybe it's because people are just under practiced on it. But the poo-poo sandwich and feedback is you start with the good thing. Then you give them some stinky stuff, and then you end it with the good thing. And so for me, those are pillows. And if you over pillify the stinky conversation, I'm going to miss it because you know what? I kind of have an ego. And you know what I'm going to anchor on? The two good things. I don't even remember what you said in the middle because you didn't say it with any conviction. You hit it between these two sandwiches.
You put a little BS in there. You did a little BS in there. You put
There's some BS in there. Thank you. There's a B and an S on both sides of some poo-poo. Like, just give me the damn feedback, right? And now one thing I do is I'll ask permission. Like, hey, can I give you my observation? And it's not a shiny one. To like, if you're ready for it, I'm gonna give it to you. If you ain't, you get to say no, and then we'll deal with it. But that, trying to dampen it and the disqualifiers, and I'm not really saying like all the time. It's just kind of, this is really just feedback. I'm done. I've checked out. I'm not hearing anything you're saying. Or an even better one. Hey, I got to give this to you because they said we got to do this. This is coming from upstairs. This is coming from the office. You know what I say? Sweet. Well, let me go talk to them. Where's they at? Let's go to the office because that's not helping me. And so for people like me, that poo-poo sandwich don't work. Like the good positive feedback with painful critical feedback covered up with positive feedback. No, just tell me. And like I think Justin said it earlier, like if you see something, say something. If I'm doing something right, if I'm on target or doing something, above and beyond, point it out. Mm-hmm. And when I'm underperforming, point it out because then it becomes a neutral interaction. And like we have this relationship, Jen, you, me, Kirby, Sean, Adam, bunch of us out there where when I have some feedback, it's like, ooh, this is going to be feedback. It's not an event that has a tone of punitive judgment or critique around it. And so again, you said it earlier, it is a learned behavior and it takes practice. It takes reps and we can start right now. Maria says, where's they at? Exactly. Where is they at? Because they need to be over here giving me this pip because I've had a few of those. Pete says, I tell them the bad, then I say, but this is good. Awesome. It works for you. Beautiful. Thank you, Pete. Sorry, Jen. We got 2 minutes.
Yes. No, I think the important, I guess for me, the value is the relationship piece, the rep piece, the continual conversation. You're having a meeting once a year to sit down and talk about their work. It makes no sense. But if you are continually having these conversations, every time you see them, interacting with them, talking about the things, shining the light, also, hey, what about this? Let's sit down and talk about this. It doesn't become this anxiety-ridden, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? They're going to know exactly what's going to happen going into that meeting because you've been talking to them and having these conversations all the time that leads up to that. So it's not just enlighten me. Let me know your value. Like it's, hey, let's just recap. Like Thomas, I think said, let's just recap what's going on because we've been having these conversations throughout. And it doesn't have to be, we're going to have a sit down and formal meeting, but like continually, have those conversations and get people comfortable with the reps.
Yes. We got to build that tolerance. We got to build the muscle. So right now I'm putting the link to the after party in the Facebook chat and in the YouTube chat. It's already in at the NoBS homepage. So for Blue Hearts, for all the folks that are new here on LinkedIn, go to the NoBS with Jen and Jess page. The invite's there. It's also in the chat, and I'll drop it here in a few seconds. So,
well, we just had some new people today. We also have some people that chimed in that hadn't chimed in before. So we do have a NoBS tripod that is kind of a message pod that a bunch of us jump in. We share our links, we share questions, we help kind of build each other. If you want to be a part of that pod, if you will drop a green heart in the chat, you can do it now. You can do it if you're listening. But if you want to be a part of that, we can add you in, and it's just a group of 25 of us that, we share our content. Some people pose questions. Hey, I need some feedback. I need some help. If you want to be a part of that, green heart.
Please. Yes. I just dropped the chat. Oh, Justin. Thank you, Justin. Justin's got my back. I think you just described manipulative insincerity with your sandwich. Yes. Oh, man. James Hannigan, been dropping bombs in there. Thank you for sharing your takeaways. Everybody out there, love y'all very much. We're fixing to jump into the after party so that we can hear each other's voices. Yes. Don't forget the instructions that Jennifer gave you, because they're really important. And again, we want to build community. We want to get closer and closer and closer. And so this is one of the mechanisms to help us do that. It is 9:16 right now. So yes. The invite, the LinkedIn thing says 9:15 because it doesn't give me any other options, but I won't be starting it until 9:20. So a few minutes for a bio break, refill on coffee. And then at 9:20, we'll be able to hear y'all's voices, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yes.
Talk again soon. Bye. Look.